my name's Averie and I love books, and here's my September wrap-up. Hi everyone! So today I'm going to be sharing with y'all all of the books that I read in September, and I am very, very proud of myself because I read 9 books this month. 9! Are you hearing me correctly? Yes. 9 comes from the girl who read 1.5 books last month. But yes, I have managed to read quite a lot this month just because I live on a very, very big campus and it takes me maybe 30 minutes to walk to my first classes of the day, and most of the time I just listen to audiobooks. Like, I have physically read a bunch of these books, but I've also listened to quite a bunch as well, because why not just listen to audiobooks while you're walking to class? So let's get started. The first book that I read was The Winter King by C.L. Wilson. This book is basically categorized as a fantasy romance book, I want to say. Hopefully that's correct. I absolutely adored this book. We basically have this Winter King named Winter, and he has these winter frost powers. Basically, he has, I guess, overtaken this dark, cold power to protect his land and country. And so in the midst of all of that, he gets betrayed by an ally to that country, and he tells their ally, hey, I'm not gonna kill you if I marry one of your really famous, beautiful daughters. And the king of their land has a secret daughter named Tasman, which he basically hates. He hates this daughter of his, and she has storm powers. She can make storms of any kind, rain, sleet, snow, any kind, and so that's her nickname, is Storm. But basically, this king finds a loophole and basically weds the daughter he hates to the Winter King without him, like, knowing that it's not one of the famous daughters. It's kind of confusing, but this book is absolutely wonderful. It is awesome. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. Also, the audiobook is very, very good as well, I have to say. I absolutely love this. It has the fantasy, mystical aspects of it that I absolutely love, and then you have that wonderful romance part. I just wanted to cry. Yes, also, if you are not the appropriate age to be reading mature content, please do not pick up this book. Thank you. Because there is quite a bunch of that. What I love, the angst. We have the angst because these two are obviously forced into an arranged marriage, kind of, and they're from countries who basically hate each other, so that was fun to read about. Their angst is quite big. But yes, I absolutely adored this book and totally recommend if you're very much into fantasy romance. Okay, the next book that I read was An English Bride in Scotland by Lindsay Sands. So this is also a romance book. This is more of a historical romance thing. I am a sucker for those historical romance books that have, like, the gross cover on the front. But it's fine. Like, I just don't read them in public. Like, it's fine. Basically, in this book, we are put into another arranged marriage. I think that's what Lindsay Sands is basically known for, are these arranged marriages. And I guess that's like a guilty pleasure of mine, is reading about historical romance arranged marriages. I don't know why, but I do. I love them. And basically, we have this girl named Annabelle, and she has lived in a convent basically her entire life, when her whole family is basically, like, I don't want to say royalty. They're not royalty, but they're kind of up there. They're, like, very high up there. So when Annabelle and her sister were younger, Annabelle's sister was put into an arranged marriage by a Scottish lord, like, right when they were kids. Like, they were like, okay, when you turn, like, a certain age to become a woman, you're gonna marry this lord. But then Annabelle gets sent off to a convent because she's not getting into an arranged marriage. She's not marrying anyone. She's basically like the extra daughter, so they just sent her to a convent. But right when Annabelle becomes a woman and is old enough to actually marry, her mother comes to the convent and takes her back to their house for basically a day and basically tells her, hey, you're marrying this lord in your sister's place. The relationship between Annabelle and Ross is absolutely wonderful. They are really, really, really cute. I don't want to say there's much angst in this book. There isn't. It's basically more of an innocent historical romance, I want to say. Yes, I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars and totally recommend it. Okay, the third book that I read this month was Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. I absolutely love this book. If you did not know, 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, if you didn't know what this book is about, this basically like is an ode to fandom kind of. We have this girl named Eliza who writes basically her own webcomic Monstrous Sea under an alias name, and no one knows who she really is. And she's kind of like the outcast of her school, and like no one ever talks to her. She doesn't really have any friends other than her online friends. Then one day this new kid comes to school named Wallace, and he is secretly the biggest fanfiction writer for Monstrous Sea, and he doesn't know who she is, and they spark a friendship and maybe something even more, wink wink, and it's so good, and I absolutely loved it. I was squealing the whole time. This book gave me so many feels. I absolutely loved it. The like relationship development of Wallace and Eliza, just like it hit me in the feels, and yeah, and it was also interesting to read about Eliza because I think of myself as Eliza in so many ways. I don't really talk to people all that much. I keep to myself, and I don't know, I connected to her in a way, and it was awesome to see her grow and like get out of her comfort zone and like branch out there to other things, and it was absolutely wonderful. And please read this book. Yeah. The next book that I read was Across the Universe by Beth Revis. So this book, if you did not know, is a sci-fi book, and I really, really, really enjoyed this. This is basically the story about Amy. The beginning of the book is about her being cryogenically frozen, and basically her and her parents have been cryogenically frozen and are put on this ship and told that they're going to be frozen for 300 years as they travel to basically a new Earth that can be settled on. But the problem is, one day Amy gets unfrozen and she's 50 years early. She's 50 years early for being frozen. She accidentally got unfrozen. And it's this story about her trying to find out like what's going on with the ship, how'd she get unfrozen, like who are all these people on their ship. We have this other character named Elder who is basically the guy in training to become the leader of the ship. It was a little weird at first to get into. Like, at first I was like, who the hell are all these people on this ship? Because they're not normal people, and because they've lived on a ship for 250 years. Yeah, so they're probably not normal. It was a little bit rough to get into for me. The audiobook was really good. I listened to it on Audible. The narrators, both of them, were really good in my opinion. Yeah, I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. If you really like anything sci-fi related, I totally recommend this book. The next book that I read was The Boy Next Door by Katie Van Ark. I actually have a book talk to this book. If you want to watch that, I will link that down below. Basically, I'm not gonna get too much into this book because I do have a book review on it, but basically this is about two neighbors, Maddie and Gabe, and Maddie has always secretly been in love with Gabe, but Gabe strictly thinks of Maddie only as a sister because he doesn't want to ruin their skating partnership, because they are very major, top-of-the-notch figure skaters, and it's basically them trying to figure out their feelings for each other. And I ended up giving this book a 3 out of 5 stars. It was meh for me. It definitely had its issues that I wasn't really okay with, and I go more in depth with that in my book review. The next book that I have is The Highlander Takes a Bride by Lindsay Sands. So this is another historical romance book that I absolutely loved. We basically have our main character Sayed. It's weird spelling. I think her name's Sed. That's how I googled her name like right when I started this book because I did not know how to pronounce it in my head. But I'm gonna say Sed. I'm gonna say Sed. Basically, we have this woman named Sed, and she has always grown up with her 7 brothers, and she is the only daughter. And they have basically taught her how to fight and everything, and she presumes that she's never gonna get married ever, because who wants to marry basically like a tomboy of a girl? So she thinks like in this era no one's gonna want to marry her because she is this tomboy-esque woman. She meets this lord named Greer, and she is basically like, I don't know, hypnotized by him, and like he's hypnotized by her. I don't know what to say. There's a little bit of angst in there, not as much as like a bunch of the other historical romance books that Lindsay Sands has. But this book, yes, there is mature content in this book. Like, it's right off the bat mature content. I can't even, no. So, yes, this book was really good in my opinion. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and this was just like a guilty pleasure read for me, I guess. Yeah. The next book that I have is The Star-Touched Queen by Roshni Chachny. If you did not know what this book is about, it's actually quite popular in the booktube community. In my opinion, it was okay for me. I wasn't really blown away by it, as like I see so many other booktubers like talking about how much they love this book. It didn't really feel that way to me. I ended up giving this book a 3 out of 5 stars. I was not blown away by it at all, really. If you didn't know what this book is about, we basically have this princess named Maya, and she basically has to get married. And yeah, she gets married to this guy named Amar, and she becomes the queen of Acheron, yeah. It took me a while to like get into this world, because it was really strange. This world was really strange. I will say Roshni Chachny has a wonderful writing style. It is beautiful and basically like poetic to read about, and I really enjoyed that. But like this world we were like told about, there's like a little like index glossary in the back, but it only had maybe like 5 words in it that gave us what the definitions were about them. A bunch of these words I was like, what the hell is that? I don't know what that is, and la la la, and it doesn't really get described, and I didn't really know what to do. Because this is kind of, I think, a Hades and Persephone retelling, right? Yes? Correct me if I'm wrong, people. But I don't know. I love Hades and Persephone retellings. I absolutely love them. But this one I just didn't feel that way. I wasn't that big of a fan of it. Sorry. I don't know. It was just really complicated to read about, and like the love between these two characters is kind of like insta-love, but there's like I can't say, but there's like a reason why it's insta-love, and like we find out at the end why, but like I just wasn't feeling it, you know? Sorry. The next book that I have is A Million Suns by Beth Revis, and this is the second book in the Across the Universe trilogy. So yes, I read book 2 for Across the Universe later this month, and I listened to it on audiobook as well, and they apparently have different narrators than they do in the first book, so that was kind of hard for me to get through because I prefer the first book narrators in my opinion. Sorry. I can't really go into detail about what this book is about because it's the second book, but yeah, just like it develops more on Amy and Elder's story on this spaceship. And yeah, I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. And the last book that I read was Upside Down by Leah Riley. And this book was so cute, and I have the feels. Basically, we have this girl named Talia, and she moves to Australia for part of her, I think it's a study abroad program, I'm pretty sure. She meets this guy in Australia named Bran, and he has some secrets of his own, and so does Talia, and they basically have these broken pasts, and they kind of morph together. They come together in a sense, and they basically help each other through this rough time that they're having, and like love develops, and there is that mature content again, so if you're not the appropriate age, please don't read this book. Yes. But this was a really cute, like, adult contemporary romance book. As you can see, there's plenty of tabby marks that I absolutely loved in this book. Yeah, I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. And I have already ordered the next 3 books in this series, so can't wait to read those. So there you have it. Those are all of the books that I read in September. I am very, very proud of myself because last month was a really, really, really crappy reading month, and I read 1 book and a novella. So this month was way, way better, and a bunch of these books were over 300 pages, so I am very, very, very proud of myself. And by the way, I have also started Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. I am finally getting on the bandwagon and finally starting this book that I have been procrastinating about reading because A, it's really, really big, and 2, I didn't know if I was gonna like it. But so far, I am on page maybe 150, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving all these new characters, and yeah. So I will be finishing this book probably in October. I can't wait to finish that book. Anyways, let me know down below if you have read any of these books. I would love to hear your opinions on them, or if you're planning to read any of these books, I would love to talk about them with you. Anyways, thank y'all so much for watching, and I will see y'all soon with a new video. Bye.